guys, it's Shadow the Rat, and for today's video I wanted to continue my Meet My Rat series, which is a series where I focus on individual rats and talk about their personalities and backstories and so forth. And for today's video I want to focus on my rat Raisin. So Raisin is a werewolf, or more specifically she is a Dumbo werewolf black Berkshire with a blaze, a bit of a mouthful, but the most striking thing about her is the fact that she's a werewolf, which is basically a fur type which causes the rat's fur follicles to grow at different speeds. So different fur follicles are at different points of the molt, leading to her having fur patterns that change every few days. And these fur patterns are really neat. They're usually symmetrical and they often just look like someone drew on her with a Sharpie, but it's just all completely genetic, and that is just really incredible to see. Now, I've really wanted to have a werewolf rat for a while just because they look super neat, and honestly, as someone who does a lot of photography with their rats, they look like the most ideal photo subject just because they are pretty much 100 rats in one, at least when it comes to visual differences, which is just really cool. So I've wanted a werewolf rat for a long time because they're just really neat, but it took me a while to find one because of two reasons. One is that werewolf rats aren't super common yet in the pet world. They've actually been around for quite a while. They were initially discovered as a variety in the 1960s in labs. However, they didn't really make their way into the pet population until a few years back, and they haven't really become super popular yet, so it's not super easy to find them in a lot of places. And in addition to that, some werewolf lines can have health issues, such as eye issues and skin issues, basically the same stuff that hairless rats can have. And because I don't want to support anyone who's breeding rats who have more health issues, I wanted to make sure that if I was going to get a werewolf rat, that I was getting them from someone who had put a lot of work into making sure that the line was healthy and wasn't just breeding them for their looks. In addition to all of that, my area doesn't really have a lot of rat breeders, or just rat lovers in general, so it was just really difficult for me to find this variety, and I'd kind of given up on it, honestly. Now, with all that being said, go back to January of this year, and I had just returned from a really long trip, and I was just kind of browsing Facebook in a sort of sleep-deprived way as I was trying to recover from the long trip back, and I stumbled upon a breeder who was working with werewolves, and they had posted their werewolves in a Facebook group called Rat Enthusiast of Virginia. And I live in Virginia, and I'm part of that rat group because, well, I like to get rats from there and just kind of connect with local people with rats in that group. So when I saw their post, I immediately got quite excited because I had never seen werewolves available in my area. So I went ahead and did a little research on them, looked at the reviews and so forth, and everything was checking out, and they seemed to be a really good, reputable breeder. So I got into contact with them and I asked them, are you breeding werewolves currently? Are you pet homing them? What's the deal there? And as it turns out, the werewolves were a recent addition to their rattery, so they weren't actually pet homing them yet. However, they were currently test breeding them just to ensure that the line was as healthy as the prior breeder that they got them from said it was. And the werewolves they had were supposedly very healthy and hadn't shown any sort of eye or skin issues or so forth for many generations, but because they were new to this breeder, they wanted to do some test breeding first to ensure that this was actually the case before they actually pet home them, which I think is a very good decision on their part. Anyways, they told me that they'd probably start to rehome some of their werewolves into pet homes around June or July of that year, just summertime. And so I thought that was absolutely perfect because, well, I really wasn't looking for rats until summertime either. Summertime is typically when I add rats to my group, just to ensure that it continues going on because I plan to keep rats long term. So I add rats pretty much every year. So summertime was pretty much perfect for me, and I was very excited to hear that. And so I told them basically that I would keep in touch with them and that I wanted to get some werewolves from them that year. So when it came to the end of April, the first werewolf litter that was going to be pet homed was getting close to the age where they could be reserved. The way this breeder, which is Unheavenly Creatures, does their sort of reservation with rats is that when the babies hit 4 weeks old, that's when you can start to reserve them. But they can't go home until they are 10 weeks. Well, at the time they had an 8-week limit, but currently they have bumped it up to 10 weeks. And I actually didn't get my babies until they were 10 weeks old because I was on a trip at the time, and I asked the breeder if they could hold them for an extra few weeks, which they were nice enough to do. But anyways, I reserved Raisin alongside 2 other rats, which are my hairless girl Tofu and my golden Siamese girl Popcorn at the end of April. And then I basically just continued to watch the page for updates and was just super hyped about getting Raisin in particular, but also all the other other rats. So I was kind of just counting down until I could go get them, which on, I believe, June 8th of this year, I was finally able to go get them. It was a bit of a drive because the breeder is about 2.5 hours from me, and she's also a vet, so she wasn't really able to drive them or meet up with me because she was working pretty long hours, which is very understandable. So I went ahead and drove out there and got them and then came back, and it was definitely worth the drive to me because those girls are all super sweet, and Raisin in particular is definitely my favorite of the bunch. Not because she's a werewolf. I mean, I love the werewolf markings. They're really neat, but Raisin's personality is really where she shines. I mean, she is so freaking sweet. She is the sweetest and silliest and bounciest and most playful little rat, and even though she's 8 months old right now, she still plays like a baby rat. It's so cute. She absolutely loves my older girl Blueberry in particular. She loves to bounce over her and then nap with her when she's done. Blueberry, on the other hand, is kind of like a old grandma, just looking at her all tolerant and just wondering what the hell she put in her coffee, because why are you bouncing everywhere, Raisin? What the heck? But Blueberry really loves her too. And Raisin is just all over the place. I mean, she is so sweet and social and just amazing. I absolutely adore her. She's definitely one of my heart rats. And she is just all over the place. She's so silly and just, I really love her. I don't even know how to express it because she is just really amazing. She's also really fun to trick train. She has a really good attention span. She always has. It's kind of incredible. And while she did initially have trouble learning some item tricks, item carrying tricks in particular, she has actually recently mastered basketball, and she's definitely come around to item tricks quite well. And she also has quite a few other tricks that she knows, including agility, which she absolutely adores. In particular, she really loves doing weaves. I mean, she is obsessed with weaves. It's hilarious. She'll always bounce when she's doing them because she's so happy to do them. But yeah, Raisin is a very sweet and outgoing rat, and she's just so perfect, and I am so lucky to have her. I'm very glad that I got my sweet little Raisin, and I'm definitely planning on getting more werewolves in the future. As far as health goes, Raisin has been completely healthy. She's had no skin issues or eye issues or anything like that, and I don't think that she's going to have any issues like that in the future because, like I said, she comes from a good, healthy line, and that is one of the reasons I went to this breeder, because I wanted to make sure that we avoided any issues like that. But yeah, Raisin is just a really amazing rat overall. She has perfect personality, you know, she's just a really amazing rat, and I am definitely so lucky to have her. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed getting to learn some about Miss Raisin, and I hope to see you guys next time. Bye!